What's up, guys? It's Chad with Living the Van Life, and I just made it up to perhaps one of the most amazing views freaking ever. This is Quartz Mountain, and as you can see behind me, there is a lightning storm going on. And I can't tell if it's coming this way, but I do know that I am on top of a mountain, and there is nothing else around me that's higher. Probably not a very safe idea. This is gnarly. Literally all the hair on my body is standing up. I can't tell if it's goosebumps because I love thunderstorms, or they say that's bad when your hair starts standing up in a lightning storm. Holy shit. This is gnarly. Look at those clouds. It's definitely happening though. Welcome aboard, guys. Camping on top of a mountain. All hail broke loose and it just started dumping down hail. Now just seeking shelter here inside the van. Hopefully this doesn't get too gnarly. I think they say the safest spot in a lightning storm is in your vehicle. So I'm putting my trust in that right now until this thing blows over. There is nothing like a freaking crazy adventure when you're stuck at the top of a mountain in a lightning storm with it hailing around you. I don't know how I managed to find myself in these situations, but that's when you know you're living life right there. Some pretty decent sized hail. I hope it doesn't get too much worse. Oh shit, here it comes. Damn. Yeah, that's heavy. Wow. Those are probably the size of marbles. Decent marble size hail. Oh shit, lightning. And just like that, it's all gone. Hopefully that's it for the thunderstorms for the rest of the day. Anyways, this is gonna be home for the evening. Gonna cook a meal, enjoy the view. Hopefully the weather stays over there. Pretty stoked to be able to call this home for the night. This is what happens when you take a chance on a road, when you take a chance on a map, when you don't have any plans and you see a road that might be interesting and you take it, you end up to places like this. That's exactly how I got here today. It was a bit of a goat trail coming up here. I didn't know what I was gonna get myself into. Literally the first 50 feet of the road was like sketched out. But I took the chance, and here we are. Well, I've gone and gathered up some firewood here to help supplement the firewood that I brought along with me on board in the van. Definitely got a good amount of firewood. That's going to last us well into the night. One thing that I've been realizing with the Boreal 21 saw from Agawa Canyon, I've talked about this saw in a few other of my videos, that it really does good with stuff that's 2 to 3 inches in diameter or smaller. Of course, you can get into some of the bigger stuff here, but it really becomes a lot of work. And the sweet spot seems to be in this kind of size stuff, because you can really get a good bite on the blade with this. Another cool thing when you get tired of doing this, or perhaps you've got some smaller stuff like this, it's hard to really get a good bite while you're doing handhold. So what you can do is you can actually take the saw and put it on end like this, and then you can kind of wrap your toes around it, pinch it in there, and then you can brace it between your shins, and then you take your piece of wood like this, and you can do this action on it and make fairly quick work of that log. So I'm going to actually use my dry firewood, some of the stuff that I brought with me in the van, to get the fire started. I'm not convinced that this other stuff that I harvested earlier today is actually 100% dry, so I figured if I get a hot fire going inside here, that'll help that stuff burn, and then I'll be good to go once I get a good hot bed of coals going inside here. I know a lot of you guys ask, why in the heck do you use a knife for splitting your kindling versus an axe? Well, over the last year of using this method, I have convinced myself, for a couple different reasons, that it's good to use a survival knife like this and do what we call batoning the firewood. First of all, I think it's way more accurate than holding a piece of firewood, letting it go, and swinging a hatchet or an axe into it. So the knife ends up being a lot more accurate. If you want this size of a piece of kindling, then you go ahead and set your knife there. You just take a decent size wood that fits well in your hand that you can use like a hammer or baton, and a few light taps through that and you're good to go. Second of all, I think it's a lot more safe to use a knife that's accurately placed exactly where you want it, rather than swinging an axe all over camp, especially if there's other people around. To me, this is more accurate, more safe, and just as effective and speedy. To me, it's just a much better option. I do carry an axe on board the van, but the crazy thing is, I very rarely use it. One of the key things to batoning is finding yourself a piece of firewood that is flat. If you're just batoning into the soft ground, that makes it that much harder to get your knife through the wood. When you can set out a piece of wood, it'll make your batoning much easier. It doesn't matter, you can go into full-size pieces of firewood like this and still do your batoning. This is my SE5. It's a decent sized survival knife. Essentially, if you want a knife for batoning, you want to find something that you can get a bit of the tip hanging out in the front while the meat of your blade is going through your firewood. Because essentially what you do is you set it like that, and then taking your baton piece, you strike the tip of the knife and drive it through. And as you can see, it doesn't take much to get through a nice dry piece of firewood, and that's a decent size Let's go for even a thicker bite. Let's see if we can get through it. You can see here, I've still got the tip of the knife out here, so I'm buried almost up to the micarta handle here, the SE5, but that tip is what I'm aiming for with my baton piece, and I'm also keeping downward pressure with my handle hand and just driving that through that piece of firewood, just like that. And to me, that's a lot safer and it's a lot more accurate than swinging an axe around camp, especially if you've got others joining you. So that's why I prefer to use a knife to split my firewood around camp. So typically what I'll do is I'll cut myself a decent sized handful of finer pieces like this of what I call kindling. And then I'll break that in half. And then I use these pieces to form what I call the log cabin style of campfire to get it started. From there, then I've got a handful of more medium pieces so that once I get that log cabin foundation going, then I can start piling these up on top, and then the whole thing goes off. And then I also keep some bigger pieces, so once the whole entire thing is going and I've got flames coming out the top, then I can start dipping these bigger ones down in there to continue to fuel the fire further. And then after that, you can start dropping in your bigger pieces. So down here in the bottom of the fire pit, that's where I take those finer pieces of kindling that I snapped in half, and I start doing my log cabin foundation is what I call it. And I do it as wide as possible because I want to make a nice pocket in here for my fire starting material. And we just crisscross that up, and what that does is that creates a lot of space for oxygen to flow around that fire and get it started as soon as possible. Just like that, we got ourselves a fire started. Like I said, about that time is when I start feeding the bigger pieces in. So this ends up being the perfect situation. As you can see, I've got my top popped here. The solar panel is actually pointing towards the sun almost perfectly. That means my Red Arc Manager 30, which is my battery management system inside the van, is actually keeping my Battleborn lithium-ion batteries fully charged. So even though I've been using my system all day, it's still sitting at 100%. And that's exactly what it takes to be able to come out here miles and miles off grid from any sort of power system, but I'm still able to keep my batteries charged for my cameras so that I can keep producing video content for you guys out here. And with the Manager 30 from RedArc, that thing gives me all the information that I need to know exactly where my batteries are on charge so that I can really get out here and stay out here longer. In cooking and prepping meats like chicken while living the van life out here in the woods, I have figured that wearing rubber gloves is the best way for cleanup of the hands after you're done working with the meat. Hell of a view from the dining room table tonight, folks. On top of the world. On top of the world. An absolutely delicious meal. Orange peanut chicken. Normally I would think you would want to have something like this over rice, but I substituted couscous for it. The couscous is perfect for a meal like this. And I love the texture that the peanuts add to it. It's moments like this when all senses are firing and you just wonder how it could get any better. Yep. Honestly, I don't think there are any words to explain how delicious that meal is. But also, there are no words to explain how amazing this view is right now. The sun is just about to crest over the mountain for the evening and leave us in complete twilight up here on top of Quartz Mountain. Just pure tranquility up here on top of the world. I'm gonna kick back next to the fire, enjoy some whiskey, and wait for the stars to come out over this sky here, because we've got an amazing southern sky opening up, and that Milky Way is gonna be cruising across that sky. And if everything goes well, we should have a pretty spot-on astro time lapse on our hands. Well guys, I'd say it's about time to call this van adventure up to the top of Quartz Mountain a wrap. It was a hell of an adventure getting up here yesterday. The road up here was quite the goat trail. That always makes it a lot of fun. That's the kind of stuff that I love to get out and do in the van. But to be up here on top of this mountain with a view like I had, it was truly magical for sure. You don't get too many opportunities to climb your way to the top of a mountain and have home for the night like I had last night. And to be able to sit and cook a delicious meal over a campfire all at the same time, that's when life all comes together in those moments. So truly appreciate that. I've got the van down out of its camp spot About to make my way back down this goat trail and get back out on the highway and see what adventure comes next my way. If you're new to the channel and you've made it this far into the video, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you on board as a subscriber. And if you do hit the subscribe button, don't forget to hit the little bell next to the subscribe button, because that's what's going to notify you anytime videos like this are uploaded. And for those of you subscribers who've been with me for a while now, I appreciate all of your support. I really, really do. Also, don't forget to comment in the comment section down below. Make sure and hit the like button and share with all of your friends, because that is the stuff that gets these videos out to the masses. All right, guys, I'm hitting the road. Peace out. Keep on trucking.